really shows quite a few of the interpersonal skills that medical schools are looking for and that you'll want to really emphasize when you're talking about those in your application. Okay. Hello, Tatiana.
Hi, Dr. Wright.
How are you?
I am good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm from Bay Area, California. I'm in Richmond right now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So California, I'm in Austin, Texas, and it is a little chilly here tonight.
It's actually been very nice here.
Oh, that's good.
75 degrees today, so.
Nice. That's very nice. That's very nice. Well, good. Well, welcome to Am I Ready? And we're happy that you're here to tell us a little bit about your story and for me to kind of give you some of my thoughts about where things are for you. So we'll jump right into it. If we could look, the first thing we want to do is really get you to tell us a little bit about your story. I know that you're a non-traditional student, and so you've got a little bit of a backstory that we want to kind of understand a little bit before we jump into the mapped details. So why don't you give us a little bit about your background and what has brought you to this point?
Okay, so I'm a very, very, very non-traditional student. I'm from Russia. I immigrated in 2011. I attended medical school in Russia right after high school. I initially took a year off to come here and learn English, but then it turned out into 9 years. As you see, I never went back, and I have a family, and I have a husband and a child and everything.
Right.
So I had to start everything over, figuring out how this process works here. It's been a journey. I'm still learning, honestly. And I finished my associate degree initially, and I applied for nursing, and I got into nursing school, and then I realized that I really don't want to do that. I want to go back to medical school, and I switched my major and finished my degree in 2 years with a really fast track. And here I am. I am also a reapplicant. I did apply in 2019. But I didn't get in, so I'm going to be reapplying.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I knowing a little bit about the process of medical school in Europe and Russia, which I think is very similar to the European model. The coming to the United States, I'm sure, was quite a different reality for you.
Oh, it's just. It's like I don't know. It's like a tunnel that there's no light in the end.
Right. I understand. So now tell me your immigration status here in the United States.
I'm a citizen at this point.
Okay, good. So you're a citizen resident of California, and that's very helpful. Obviously, international students have a much larger difficulty than citizens do, and so our green card people do. So that's a great that helps out quite a bit. So excellent. All right, well, let's look at mapped and see where things are. We'll start off with the GPA graph, and what we see here are really great numbers. Now, it includes all of your stuff at community college, and then as well as the remainder of things that you've done since coming here to the U.S. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So the first, I took 1 semester after language school. I transferred to community college in 2012. That was like a 1 spring semester. And that's why I got 1 C there, only because I just still didn't understand how this educational system works. So
right.
And that's pretty much why the GPA was low there. But after that, I went back to school in 2015 when I got my green card.
Okay, cool. And where did you do the rest of your schooling?
So it was all in California, pretty much. I got community college in San Mateo, and then California State University, East Bay, here in Hayward.
Okay, cool. So what we see is a 3.88 cumulative GPA and a 3.88 science GPA. So those are excellent numbers. You're obviously a very good student. That's very encouraging. We can also look at the detail if you want to click on the more detail button there on the
there you go.
GPA
Yes.
graph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then that will give us a little bit more information as well, and gives us, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, as well as class standing GPA. So all these are very good numbers. I like especially the science GPA numbers, which my guess is that a lot of your hours were science hours.
Yes, pretty much. I'm
Yeah.
cell and molecular biology.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So those all look really, really great. It's great that you were such a good student. That's obviously going to be very helpful for your application. So we can go back to the dashboard again.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do now is just skip down. So you're still in school now, is that correct?
No, I finished my degree in 2019 in the winter, like right before the pandemic, pretty much.
Okay. Cool. So that's helpful. So let's shift down to your MCAT scores. And if
so this is my latest score.
Okay,
514.
so let's go over to the left to the MCAT.
To the MCAT, yes.
Mm-hmm, correct. So looks like you've taken MCAT
3 times.
3 times. So your first attempt was April 2019 with a 503.
Yes.
Then May, late May with a 505, and then a pretty significant jump this last September. I'm sure you were very happy about that.
Yes, I was. Well, I did take the previous 2 while I was 9 months pregnant.
Oh, wow. Holy cow. No wonder there's.
on that note, I really didn't appreciate the MCAT.
Yeah.
Until I started listening to Dr. Gray.
Right.
Honestly.
Right. Well, that's really great. I'm super excited about your new score. I think that's definitely going to position you in a much different place for application, and strictly in terms of the numbers and stuff. I mean, you really produced a score that I think is going to be much more noticeable to admissions committees. So that's great. So 514 we have. And a good numbers on all the sub scores. I noticed that the car section is typically your weakest section. You want to say a little bit about that?
That was the hardest section for me because I read a lot, and I came in 2011 with no English, and all I do is read books and read everything through school, I love reading. But until I started listening to Dr. Gray's podcasts and actually understanding how the MCAT worked and how the CARS section worked, I just couldn't get that score up. And I was actually scoring higher on my practice tests, which was very empowering.
Yeah, that's great.
But 126 for me, I feel like it was still, I could have done better, but that was what it was at that point.
Yeah. No, and I think that's I think obviously you were very happy with the biochem section 130, psych soc section 130. Those are great scores, 96th percentile, 94th percentile on those. And then the chem physics is still a great score. I think, it's not unusual at all for the CARS section for any student, for the CARS section to be a little bit lower than the other sections, particularly for somebody who's a non-native English speaker. You obviously speak very well, and I'm sure you've improved your English skills notably over the years. And so the fact that you read a lot helps considerably in terms of taking and doing well on the MCAT. So that's fantastic. Good.
Yes, that was a hard section for me.
Yeah, but I'm sure you've been very happy that you are very happy with the results of your.
Yes, I am
most
very, very
recent
happy.
MCAT. So oh yeah, for sure. That sounds great. Okay. So let's go back to the dashboard. And what we want to look at next is the activity hours and stuff. And you've got a whopping 27,536.65 activity hours, which is a lot. And so I'm guessing you've got a lot of stuff going on. So why don't we look over on the left? Yeah, let's look specifically at this. So the very first thing you have on there is, I'm guessing that, over the course of, looks like around 4 years, you were a child care provider. Well, even more than that, really.
More than that, pretty much from the beginning that I came here.
Yeah, 2011, 2017. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So as I came as an international student, obviously I don't have rich parents, so I really have to support myself over here. And I found the great families, mostly Russian families, and I worked as a nanny pretty much through the whole time. I worked through community college, 50 hours a week. I took evening classes, and I loved it. I mean, I love kids. So it was the most fun that I had through those, however, I don't know, 8 years. I still in contact with all my kids. They're all pretty much grown up now. They're all big.
I bet. Well,
but it was amazing.
Yeah. And that's, that shows a lot of, those are things that definitely would go on the application in terms of, the leadership ability, but also the reliability and dependability of the importance of those things, and showing up every day, and teamwork with the parents. It really shows quite a few of the interpersonal skills that medical schools are looking for, and that you'll want to really emphasize when you're talking about those in your application. How crucial those elements of it are. It takes a lot of humility, takes a lot of concentration on the kids as opposed to your own needs, the needs of the kids. So I don't want you to feel like that is not relevant. I think it definitely is relevant.
Well, thank you for saying that, because the first time I applied, I honestly did not understand the process, and I didn't mention it at all.
Wow.
Literally, I only mentioned medically related stuff.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think definitely these need to go in here, because that's 15,000 hours of work that you completed between 2011 and 2017, and that's a big effort. In addition to, now you were in school while you were doing that at some level.
Yes, yeah, I was.
So
full-time. I was a full-time community college student.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, it shows a lot of effort on your part, and a great deal of commitment to those families. And so I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Now let's look down a little bit. You've got quite a few. I love it that you put your hobby on there of crocheting and knitting. I think that is really the kind of thing that medical school admissions committees want to see, that type of stuff too, because it shows that you have interests outside of school, and you're being a mother and a wife and stuff, that you enjoy doing things that now my guess is, as with most students, my guess is that crocheting and knitting for you is a bit of a stress reliever.
Yeah, you know what? I've been doing it since I was a very young kid. I learned very early, and I just love working. I just love doing something with my hands. I love making things, and I like the happiness that it brings to people when I, for example, make something for the kids. Some either clothing or a toy or some sort of a gift, and it's just it's very very incredible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. My grandmother was a big crocheter, and I still have some of the Afghans that she,
Oh,
you know,
that's
crocheted
awesome.
for me and stuff. It's very meaningful to me. It brings back lots of memories in my mind of watching my grandmother do that and having those things to hold on to remember her by. So
That's incredible.
yeah, that's awesome. So the rest of the stuff that's on this page, at least, is clinical stuff that you've done. You know, some there was some shadowing back in 2011, but a lot more recent stuff as EMT in 2018, 144 hours, some physician shadowing over the course of 2010, 2009. So that's all great.
So I want to make a note on that.
Yeah.
So the ones that you see 2011, 2010, 2009, 2007 probably, or 8. So since I can't really put in any of my credits from school, but because I did clinical rotations already in medical school back in Russia, I put those in here as a shadowing.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense.
So those are some of them are the shadowing, like general surgery. So those are the courses, and pretty much I consider them as a shadowing because that's what we were doing there.
Yeah. Okay. And you can clarify that in the descriptions in your application, you know, what you're talking about there. So that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah, let's go to page 2. Great. More shadowing. Meals on Wheels here in the United States, 2017. And you did some nursing, nursing assistant. This is back.
Those were part of our training
in Russia,
back in medical school. Yeah. So, and I did work in our local hospitals after the training, kind of like a volunteer work more.
Okay, good. A lot of reading. You mentioned that. What's your favorite thing to read?
So my favorite book is, my favorite author is Alexandre Dumas, a French author.
Yes.
And, you know, Count of Monte Cristo is
yes.
just top down. I've read it like 4 times in 2 different languages.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So you read it in French as well as in...
No, I am still getting ready for the French version. I read it in Russian first and then in English several times.
Okay. Yeah, good. And you've seen some of the movies as well?
Yes. The French one actually very good. The French version, I watched it in the original language. It was really awesome.
Oh, nice. Now, how many languages do you speak?
So I do speak fluently Russian and English. I can understand some French and read some French because I've studied it for the longest time. And I can understand also some of the Slavic related languages like Bulgarian and because I've worked with families. So
Now, are those languages, those other Slavic languages, do they have quite a bit of overlap with Russian or no?
They do, not too much, but they do at some point. But because when you're exposed to them, you kind of like, it's very easy to pick it up.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good. So, and I guess you were doing some tutoring.
Yes, in my school. Yes, in the university, I did tutoring for about 2 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, was there any particular subjects that you were tutoring in?
So it's pretty much all the science, biology, chemistry, sometimes physics. Yeah, pretty much all of the science classes were the go.
Yeah,
for
sure.
me.
Yeah, sure. Great. Okay, so let's go to the third page there. So you've been doing virtual shadowing this year, September.
All the opportunities that I can find.
Yeah. And you're doing e-shadowing now, is that right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's fantastic. So this whole page is shadowing, you know, and this is really, I think, a representation of you know, what we see with a lot of students right now is the difficulty within the context of COVID of getting getting shadowing and or other clinical experiences. And so I think that this is, an example of you're doing basically what you can to make this, to make it happen. And looks like you're getting a good deal of that. So that's excellent. And it really shows to me, it really shows your commitment to making this happen and really focusing on doing whatever you can to get these experiences. And that's what students have to do right now. It's just, you got to just do what you can.
For some people, it's COVID is not the greatest thing that happened, but for me as a stay-at-home mom, this actually is an amazing opportunity because I might not have been able to go to regular shadowing because I don't have childcare or I don't have the timing that I need to put in it because I'm at home with my child. But this way, I can do both and still learn a lot. I mean, I've learned so much from those shadowing sessions. It was incredible. This is just,
awesome. Yeah, that's
mind-blowing.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Great. Well, let's go back. Let's go to the med schools. Have you identified some schools that you're interested in?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, are you kind of pretty much looking in the area in California? Is that correct?
No. So, California, well, it is the first choice of my husband, but it's not my first choice. I'm from Siberia. I need cold weather.
Okay.
So this is part, but we are applying in California. We were planning to apply in California, but also we have family. My husband's my father-in-law lives in Oregon, Portland.
Okay.
So we're planning to apply there, and I have several schools and a couple schools on the West Coast because I just really love their program there.
Yeah.
And I have some of them in the Colorado.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, and it looks like you're identifying both MD and some DO schools.
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think it makes a lot of sense to, mostly since you're a reapplicant, I think it makes sense to broaden that spectrum of schools that you're really considering, and so that's fantastic.
I'm trying to. I did apply only to MD schools because I did not know anything about DO 2 years ago. I just literally learned in the past, less than a year, about DO schools and more about the process and everything. So,
right,
I'm really looking into those things.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Okay, so let's go just back to your dashboard, just to put a top on it. And so, basically, Tatiana, what I see here is academically, I think you're a great candidate. You've obviously done extremely well in school under difficult circumstances, both in terms of learning a new system, learning a new language, having a family, and you've had a lot on your plate, working full time. Particularly early on, working full time and going to school full time, and then and I'm super excited about the latest MCAT score that you had, and I think the 514 is going to really make a big difference for you in terms of that. That number will get some attention from the admissions committees, particularly when it's matched with your GPA. Now, I think that the other thing, and so I want to focus in now on your activity hours and on your, that kind of stuff. And I think in your application, my guess is that you're going to talk in your personal statement about, about medical school in Russia, and that your interest in medicine goes way back. And that you went through the whole process in Russia and then immigrated to the U.S. And so you've got lots of clinical experience in Russia. You've got lots of, you've got tons of experience there, and then you've broadened that with experience here in the U.S. Although I would say that your U.S. experience is somewhat limited. You've done a considerable amount of shadowing, most of it virtual shadowing, but not as much clinical experience. And this is if there's any kind of weakness that I see to your application, that's probably going to be it. Is that, does that surprise you? Or
no, it's not. That is actually, I've been working on that to fix that. I'm actually looking for a job, and I'm hoping I'm in the process of like interviewing process for a job that I think will be extremely interesting, and I can learn a lot, and
good.
it will be helpful because it's a clinical as a medical assistant. I also have a like phlebotomy license and the EMT license and all of that. I got that.
Yeah, sure.
Under my belt. Sure. But yeah, so I agree with you because I have been looking at my application and the history, and I think that could be particularly one weakness for me that I need to work on.
Right. And so you're thinking that that's going to happen in the short run, the medical assistant thing? Yeah.
So I'm like, hopefully I can start maybe like after the new year.
Okay, great. So that would give you, 4 to 5 months before application with that experience, and so that's going to be fantastic. I think that will be very helpful. So good luck on that. I hope that works out for you. Yeah. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one, right?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Well, all in all, Tatiana, I would say you're ready to apply. I definitely think you've got a good set of things going on. I like it that you're diversifying your choice of medical schools. I think that's very helpful. That you're applying not just in California but other areas as well. Plus, you're applying to some DO schools as well as MD schools. So quite a diverse group of schools that you're looking at, and so that's going to be very helpful for you. My expectation is that with the new MCAT score, that's going to that in and of itself is going to make a big difference. And so I think, really the thing that I would encourage you to do is really reach out to the admissions committees through your application and tell your story about not only what you did in Russia in terms of your education there and your commitment to medicine, but also, emphasize how, and admissions committees are used to immigrants. They see a lot of immigrants, but I think you need to emphasize the difficulty that immigrants face when they're changing cultures and when they're changing educational systems and languages. And, this is a huge thing that you did, back in 2011 or whatever. And it really shows an enormous amount of fortitude on your part, that you're a strong woman who really has a strong commitment to being a physician. And you have done everything you've had to do to make this happen. And that's not going to be lost on an admissions committee, that you've done that, and you've done it very well. So I think you need to definitely talk about your experiences in Russia, as well as your experiences here in the United States, and how that's a part of your story, and that's what you'll really go through in your personal statement, and also in secondary applications that they'll often ask questions about adversity and things that you've faced that have been difficult, and that's going to be pretty clear, that's a lot of your story is the difficulties you faced in coming to the U.S. The thing about the difficulty in getting clinical experiences, particularly within the context of COVID, a lot of the medical schools these days are asking questions about that in their secondary applications. How has COVID impacted your journey? And so you'll have an opportunity to say, it really constricted my ability to get clinical and or shadowing activities into my life. And so you'll have an opportunity to talk about those things. And so I would strongly encourage you to kind of go through that and to talk about how you did the best you could in terms of getting virtual shadowing experiences and stuff like that, and just really be honest about how that has worked out for you and the benefit that you got from those things.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, but all in all, Tatiana, I think you have a great application. I wish you the best of luck in all of this, and really want you to, I'm cheering you on and hoping this goes really well for you this year. And I know probably applying in 2019 and not getting in was a bit of a downer, and was frustrating and disappointing, and I'm sure it was difficult.
It was a nightmare for me. The whole application cycle was a nightmare. It just put so much stress on me that I just kind of like checked out, because you know what? I am growing a human being inside me that, and you know what? In the end, actually, I thought that was a good thing that I didn't get in. Because I know now that I didn't properly tell my story. My application was literally not complete, like by what you see here and what would you see on my previous application is just two different things.
Night and day.
I know now so much more than I did back then. And I understand more about the process and everything much better than I did before.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good for you. And I would point out to you, as well as to our viewers and listeners, that your story in terms of not really understanding the whole process and not being really well prepared for it is not common at all. And so I would say, the videos that Dr. Gray puts out, the podcasts are all excellent resources. His books are excellent resources. And I would also say that, reaching out to the MAPT community, to reach out to us at map.com. You can look at map.com/services and see what services we offer. And, we are there to help and to help guide you in the process, whether it's helping on the personal statement or activity descriptions, or whether it's, just generally answering questions or mock interviews, whatever, we have availability to help in all those ways. And so I think part of what you have done, it sounds like, Tatiana, is that you have really taken advantage of the resources available to you through medical school headquarters, et cetera. And it has really made a difference in your approach to the whole application process.
Yes, correctly. It's just been, a blessing for me, honestly, to see. I can see all the mistakes that I've made in the previous application cycle. Yeah.
Well, it's great that you are, and I would say too, as you indicated earlier, that, it may be a blessing in disguise that you didn't get in 2019 for a variety of reasons. And the fact that you're in a much better place now, your family's in probably a lot better place now. So I think, things all happen the way they do, and and I definitely think that you're in a much better place now to apply, and then also to be wiser in terms of your ability to move forward in the application process and into medical school itself. And so kudos to you for doing all the hard work. You've really done a great job. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for joining us on Am I Ready? I hope that this was helpful to you, but I definitely think you got a green light, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. This has been such a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.